My sister Lara always knew how to control a room. She didn't raise her voice. She sharpened it. Growing up, people called her confident, fearless, strong. I called her my sister, and that meant I learned to step back, to soften myself, to let her take the center while I held the edges together. We weren't close anymore, but we weren't enemies either. At least, that's what I believed. I still answered her calls. I still helped when she needed something. I still believed that blood meant safety, even when it hurt. The day everything shattered, I was standing alone in my kitchen, reheating tea I had already forgotten to drink. My phone buzzed once, then again, then it wouldn't stop. Missed calls piled up from relatives I barely spoke to. A message from my cousin appeared first. Are you okay? Please tell me this isn't true. Confused, I opened social media, and my breath vanished. There was Lara's post, black background, white text, dramatic. Terrifying. She wrote about betrayal, about trust, about how someone close to her had cut her brakes and nearly ended her life. She didn't say my name, but she didn't need to. Everyone knew we had argued days earlier. Everyone knew I had been near her car once, helping her carry groceries. The comments flooded in faster than I could read them. Shock, anger, pity for her, suspicion for me. I felt my body go cold, like the air had been pulled from the room. I slid down the cabinet and sat on the floor, staring at my shaking hands. I didn't even own tools. I wouldn't know how to cut a brake line if my life depended on it. But lies don't need proof. They only need fear. By evening, people I loved had stopped replying. Others sent careful messages, the kind that already assume guilt. If this is true, I hope there's a misunderstanding. No one asked me directly. That night, I lay awake replaying every memory of Lara, every secret I kept for her, every time I defended her name when others questioned her choices. I realized then that this wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. This was intentional, and the most painful truth settled in my chest like a stone. The person who knew me best had chosen to destroy me because she thought I would never fight back. By the third day, the lie had grown teeth. I could feel it in the way people looked at me. Too long, too careful, in the way conversations stopped when I entered a room. Even silence had turned suspicious. Lara hadn't just told a story. She had planted doubt where trust used to live. The police visit came quietly, almost politely, which somehow made it worse. 2 officers stood in my doorway, their expressions neutral but their eyes searching. "We're just following up," one of them said. "Your sister mentioned a disagreement between you." I nodded. We had argued about money she borrowed and never returned, about the way she treated her husband like a shield and a wallet at the same time. I told them everything calmly because panic only feeds assumptions. I didn't touch her car. I said I would never harm her. They wrote things down. They thanked me. They left me standing in the doorway, my name heavier than it had ever felt. That evening, Lara finally called. Her voice slid into my ear like honey mixed with glass. Soft, casual, almost bored. "You know how people exaggerate online," she said. "Things just spiral. You told people I tried to kill you." I replied, my voice barely steady. She laughed, actually laughed. "Relax, I didn't say your name. If they connect it, that's on them." That laugh did something to me. It peeled away the last layer of denial I was clinging to. She wasn't scared. She wasn't shaken. She was entertained. "You'll get over it." She continued, "You always do. You're the strong one." After the call ended, I sat in the dark, replaying her words. Strong, to her, had always meant silent. It meant carrying damage so she wouldn't have to. A knock came late that night. My neighbor stood there awkwardly, holding his phone like it was evidence. "I work with cars," he said. "I saw your sister's post. Something didn't sit right." He showed me photos close-ups of the brake line, corroded and worn, not cut. A mechanic's note. Time stamps, facts, the truth landed quietly but powerfully. Lara hadn't almost died. She had almost ruined my life for sympathy, and for the first time since this began, I didn't feel fear. I felt clarity, because lies collapse the moment truth finds proof, and now I had proof. I didn't confront Lara, not yet. Every part of me wanted to throw the proof in her face, to watch her confidence crack. But I'd spent my whole life reacting to her chaos, cleaning up after her storms. This time, I chose something different. I chose patience. I gathered everything slowly, carefully, like someone handling glass. Screenshots of her post before she deleted it. Messages from relatives that hinted at blame. The mechanic's inspection confirming there was no sabotage, only neglect and rust. I printed copies, not because I was dramatic, but because paper feels permanent in a way digital things don't. Lara texted me twice that week. "Why are you being so quiet? This is getting awkward." I didn't reply. Silence unnerved her more than anger ever could. She needed reaction. She fed on it. Without it, she started to unravel on her own. 3 mornings later, her car refused to start. I found out through her husband, not through her. He called me, frustrated but polite, asking if I knew a good mechanic. His voice carried exhaustion I recognized. The sound of someone who had been apologizing for another adult for too long. I gave him a tow company's number, the same neighbor who had helped me. I told him nothing else. The car was towed that afternoon, not to a repair shop, not to her mother's house, but straight to his office parking lot. Right where he couldn't avoid it, right where questions would follow. Inside the car, taped neatly to the dashboard, was a folder, the inspection report, photos of the brake line, a timeline of events. Printed screenshots of Lara's post and her private messages to me. No commentary, no accusations, just facts. I stayed home while the truth traveled for me. When Lara realized what had happened, she exploded. She called, texted, left voice messages that bounced between rage and panic. "You're trying to ruin me," she screamed in one. "Please, just tell him it was a misunderstanding," she sobbed in another. But I had already told the only story that mattered quietly, honestly, and without emotion. That evening, her husband called me. There was no anger in his voice, only disbelief. "She said you were jealous," he said. "She said you hated her." I closed my eyes. I loved her. I replied, "That's why I stayed silent for so long." The line went quiet, and in that silence I felt something shift. For the first time, the weight wasn't on me anymore. It was on the truth. The noise didn't stop all at once. It faded. First, Lara deleted her post. Then the shared whispers slowed, like a storm losing interest. A few people reached out carefully, cautiously testing whether I was still the person they thought they knew. Some apologized, some didn't mention it at all. I learned which silences were shame and which were indifference. I kept my distance from both. Lara came to my door a week later. She looked smaller somehow, like all the confidence she used to wear had finally grown too heavy. Her eyes were red, her voice sharp with panic. "You ruined my marriage," she said, tears streaking down her face. "He won't even talk to me." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue, no. I said quietly, "I stopped lying for you." That sentence landed harder than anything cruel I could have said, because cruelty would have given her something to fight. Truth only gave her a mirror. Her husband moved out soon after. Not because of the car, not because of me, but because lies don't live alone. Once one is exposed, the others start knocking. He told me later that the folder in the car hadn't shocked him. It had clarified things he'd been avoiding for years. Lara never made a public confession. She didn't need to. The people who mattered had already seen enough. and the ones who didn't believe me were never really on my side to begin with. What surprised me most was the quiet that followed. No more defending myself, no more rehearsing explanations in my head. Just peace, fragile at first, then steady. I realized something important in the aftermath. Revenge doesn't have to be loud to be effective. Justice doesn't require destruction. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to step out of someone else's chaos and let them face it alone. I didn't hurt my sister. I didn't touch her car. I didn't destroy her life. I simply returned her lie to the person she trusted most and walked away. Blood may make you related, but truth decides who gets to stay.